So the basic units of making a drawing or an illustration in Illustrator are anchors or points, paths or lines, and the objects and shapes that they make together. So the probably the most commonly used tool in Illustrator is the pen tool. So I already have it selected here, but I can hit P on my keyboard for pen tool. And now I can go to my artboard, which is blank, and click. And you can see with my mouse hovering over it, you can see the word anchor. So an anchor is an anchor point. That's why I'm kind of interchangeably referring to them as anchors or points. But now that I have one down, if I zoom in and move with my hand tool, I can make a second point by clicking. And now that I have two anchor points, it makes a line. It's very, it's kind of just basic math, like 2 points make a line. And as you can see, I'm moving around, but I can keep adding pen points to make a shape. So I'm going to click, lay down another anchor. I'm going to move over, make another one, and just make sort of this irregular shape. But now if I want to close this shape, I'm going to zoom it closer. I can take my pen tool and hover it over the original, the first or the original anchor I placed down. And you can see right below the little pen cursor, you can see a little circle. So when that circle appears, it's saying, if you click here, you will complete the shape. So yes, I do want to do that. So I'm going to hover over it and click. And now if I zoom out, you can see I just clicked V to select the whole shape. You can see I've made my first closed shape out of anchors and lines. So you can, with either the selection or the direct selection tool, you can hover over something and you'll see a little word path show up. So that's a line. And then over an anchor, the word anchor will show up. It will also give you the position of that anchor on the X and Y axes. It's not something I think about too much, but it is there for being super precise. And now I can actually, let's make a few more shapes. With the line segment tool, it'll do something very similar, but it'll just make line segments for you. So if I click and drag, you'll see it's making a preview of the line I'm going to draw. And now I can click V to set it. And now I just have two anchor points with a path in between. And since this is a line, it doesn't really have that like preview box around it. So if I click this one, you can see there's this sort of like green box around it showing its full size. If I click this path, it doesn't have one of those because it's just the box is actually just clipped to the actual line itself. So to rotate this line or an object that I've made, I'm going to make sure I'm in V for selection tool, not direct select. And I'm going to hover around one of the anchors and you'll see this sort of curved line show up. And now if I click and pull with the curved line, you can see it's rotating with my mouse. And same with Photoshop, if you hold Shift, it'll sort of snap into different mathematical steps. So let's see, let's make it up and down. Now if I try to rotate it again and hold Shift, it's showing me the degrees by which I can shift it. So 135, 180, you know, full 360 back to 0, 45, all that good stuff. I can do the same with my big object. I will say that if there is no fill inside of a shape like this, you will need to click on the line itself to select it, which can be a little confusing. So if I actually, very quickly, I'll show this to you in the next video, give this a fill. Oops, yes. Now I can click on the center of it and it will select the whole thing because there's something to actually select there. So another way to lay down anchor points to make lines is to use the brush tool in Illustrator. It acts pretty similarly to Photoshop in that you're going to make lines that are a little bit more organic, but it does it does a few different things. So if I click B for my brush tool, you can see this little brush icon show up in a little circle, and now I can make some loopy lines using my drawing tablet. But you can see that it sort of makes these adjustments to your line based on the math. It doesn't make a direct translation of your motion because it's not using pixels, it's using math. So if I make another one, you can see the line isn't super smooth, and then all of a sudden it sort of snaps into a different shape. So what you would do if you want to edit these brush lines is you would come in nice close, and then using your direct select, so your A for your hotkey, is you would come in and you would play with these different anchors. So by double clicking an anchor, I can move its position. And by moving its position, it's making a different curved line. And now what I'm going to show you guys really quickly, you can very quickly change the arc or the curve of the line like this with your brush tool by going to double click your anchor, and then you'll see something pop up that actually alters the curve. So this is your handle for your anchor, and now by clicking the edge of that handle, I can sort of move it around and change the way that this curves. You can very quickly kind of get crazy with these and get real, you know, change them dramatically. You can always go to undo, go back. But yeah, when you want to alter the shape of a curve, you want to come into the anchor point, play around with these handles. You know, you can get very different effects from it. So yeah, that's how you lay down points to make lines and to form shapes in Illustrator. As with all of these tools, you can get super deep into it and do lots of advanced techniques, but it allows you to make super simple shapes and kind of edit them infinitely.